There is something women will never admit in public. Something so uncomfortable, so opposite to the image they show the world, that if you said it out loud at a family dinner, you would be socially destroyed. But it is real. It can be observed. It can be verified. And once you understand it, once you truly understand the sexual duality of the female mind, you will never again fully believe what women say about what attracts them. Because what they say and what awakens inside them when no one is watching are two completely different worlds. And in that private space, in the hidden theater of their forbidden fantasies, women are not the innocent, gentle creatures society pretends they are. They are wild. They are dark. They are, in one word that will offend people but is accurate, dirty. Before you react, understand this. This is not about disrespecting women. This is about respecting them enough to recognize that they are complex sexual beings with desires society forced underground. Desires they feel ashamed of. Desires that contradict what they are taught they should want. And if you are perceptive enough to understand those desires, you gain access to a level of psychological influence that most men don't even know exists. The evidence. Walk into any bookstore. Go to the romance section, the part of the store mostly read by women. What do you find? A series called The Shadow Contract sold over 100 million copies around the world. 100 million. That is not a small group. That is not a hidden group. That is not a fringe audience. That is mainstream. And what is the story about? It is about a powerful, cold, dominant man who enters the life of an innocent woman and completely changes her world. He is controlling. He is intense. He is emotionally distant. He leads. He decides. He takes charge. Women did not hide their interest in this story. They bought the books openly. They read them in cafes, on trains, and in waiting rooms. They talked about them with friends. This was not a guilty secret. This was a cultural phenomenon. But now, ask women a simple question. Would you want a man like that in real life? Most will react with discomfort. They will say no. They will look offended. They may even accuse you of being unhealthy or toxic for asking. Why? Because women are taught to say one thing, while their emotional and biological responses show something different. They are trained to speak in the language of social values, fairness, equality, safety, and kindness. But their attraction system does not run on social values. It runs on instinct, and instinct does not care about social approval. And it goes even deeper than that book. In the last decade, a massive new genre has exploded in popularity. It is often called dark creature romance. These are stories where women fall in love with vampires, demons, shadow beings, beasts, or powerful non-human figures. Not gentle figures, not soft figures, not safe figures, dangerous figures, powerful figures, dominant figures. Why would a modern woman with access to real men fantasy about something non-human and dangerous? Because those creatures represent qualities that modern men are taught to hide. Raw strength, emotional control, confidence without apology, dominance without asking permission to exist. The creature does not explain itself. It does not seek approval. It does not negotiate its presence. It simply is. And in fantasy, that energy becomes deeply attractive. Not because women want to be hurt, not because they want chaos, but because they want to feel overwhelmed by something bigger than themselves. They want to feel chosen. They want to feel claimed. They want to feel pulled out of their ordinary life into something intense and emotional and consuming. In daily life, women must be careful. They must manage. They must decide. They must control. Fantasy gives them a place where they can stop controlling and start feeling, where they can stop choosing and start being chosen. That is why these stories work. That is why millions of women read them. Not because women are broken, not because women are immoral, but because women are human. And human desire does not follow social rules. It follows emotional truth. And emotional truth is often very different from what people are comfortable admitting out loud. The mask. A long time ago, an old strategist wrote something very important. He said that people judge more with their eyes than with their hands. What he meant is simple. People believe what they see on the surface. They believe what is shown in public. They believe what is said out loud. But truth does not live on the surface. Truth lives in private. Public behavior is a performance. Private behavior is the real person. This is not only true for politics, power, or society. It is also true for desire. It is also true for attraction. It is also true for women. There are not one, but two versions of every woman. There is the woman the world sees, and there is the woman only a few ever meet. The first one is the public woman. She is the social woman. She is the polite woman. She is the reasonable woman. She is the woman who speaks about values, fairness, and respect. She is the woman who follows the rules. She is the woman who wants to be accepted. She is the woman who wants to be seen as good, intelligent, modern, and correct. She is the woman who talks about what she should want. She speaks in the language of society. She speaks in the language of expectations. She speaks in the language of image. The public woman wants fairness. She wants balance. She wants things to feel safe and stable. She wants to be treated properly. She wants to be respected. She wants to be seen as equal and valuable. And none of that is wrong. This public woman is necessary. She allows her to live in society. She allows her to work, to belong, to be accepted, to be protected from judgment. She is the mask that allows her to move through the world without being attacked, misunderstood, or rejected. But she is not the whole woman. Behind that mask, there is another woman, a deeper woman, a quieter woman, a more honest woman. This is the private woman. The private woman does not speak in social language. She does not speak in rules. She does not speak in morals. She speaks in feelings. She speaks in reactions. She speaks in instincts. She speaks in what feels good, what feels strong, what feels alive. The private woman is not concerned with how things look. She is concerned with how things feel. She is not interested in being approved by the group. She is interested in being moved, touched emotionally, awakened, and affected. The private woman does not want fairness. She wants intensity. She does not want balance. She wants depth. She does not want safety as comfort. She wants safety as a container for strong emotions. The public woman wants safety so nothing bad happens. The private woman wants safety so she can let go. The public woman wants control. The private woman wants surrender. Not surrender as weakness, but surrender as release. Release from thinking, release from responsibility, release from constant self-control. The private woman wants moments where she does not have to manage, plan, decide, or hold everything together. She wants moments where she can stop being the adult, the professional, the good person, the responsible one. She wants moments where she can simply feel, strongly, deeply, fully. The public woman wants to be understood. The private woman wants to be felt. The public woman wants words. The private woman wants experience. And this is why men get confused. They listen to the public woman and believe she is the whole woman. They take her words as truth. They take her rules as desire. They take her explanations as her real nature. But words are the language of the mask. Reactions are the language of the truth. The public woman speaks, the private woman responds. The public woman explains, the private woman reacts. The public woman justifies, the private woman reveals. You can hear the public woman, but you can only see the private woman. You see her in what she moves toward. You see her in what excites her. You see her in what she avoids. You see her in what she remembers. You see her in what she cannot forget. The private woman is the one who chooses. The public woman is the one who explains the choice afterward. That is why there is so much confusion. That is why men say, "But she said she wanted this." And yet she responded to something else, because the mask spoke. But the body chose. The mask is logical. The body is honest. The mask is social. The body is natural. The mask is what she learned. The body is what she is. The public woman is who she thinks she should be. The private woman is who she actually is. And here is the key point. The private woman is not bad. She is not broken. She is not immoral. She is not wrong. She is simply human. She carries the parts of her that society does not give her permission to express openly. Her longing, her depth, her emotional hunger, her desire for intensity, connection, power, surrender, meaning, and transformation. She hides these things not because they are evil, but because they are vulnerable. Because they can be judged, because they can be misunderstood, because they can be used against her. So she protects them, she hides them behind the mask. And only when she feels safe enough, only when she feels seen enough, only when she feels accepted enough, does she let the mask drop. And when it drops, you meet the real woman. Not the polite one, not the correct one, not the impressive one, but the honest one. And that is the woman who bonds. That is the woman who connects. That is the woman who remembers. The public woman is the mask. The private woman is real. And the man who understands this does not argue with the mask. He does not fight the mask. He does not shame the mask. He respects the mask. But he speaks to the woman behind it. He creates safety for the mask and space for the truth. That is where connection happens. That is where intimacy begins. That is where something real becomes possible. The Beast Story. Every woman knows the story of the girl and the beast. It exists in fairy tales, it exists in novels, it exists in movies, it exists in fantasies, but it also exists in real life. A woman meets a man who feels dangerous, not violent, not abusive, but powerful. He feels unpredictable, he feels strong, he feels different from the safe, polite men she is used to, and she is drawn to him. Not because he is kind, not because he is stable, not because he is responsible, but because he feels alive. He carries energy, he carries presence, he carries something that feels rare. He is the beast, and she does not fall in love with him despite that. She falls in love with him because of that. The danger is not the problem. The danger is the attraction. He is dangerous first. She is attracted first. Only then does she want him to change. This is the order. It is always the order. Women do not fall for safe men and then wish they were dangerous. They fall for dangerous men and then wish they were safe. This is why the fantasy always looks the same. The beast is wild, the beast is powerful, the beast is uncontrollable. And the woman believes she is the one who can soften him. She believes she is special. She believes she is different. She believes her love will be the thing that changes him. So she enters the story, not as a victim, but as a savior. She wants to be the one who tames the beast. She wants to be the one who transforms danger into devotion. She wants to be the one who takes raw power and turns it into love. This gives her a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, a sense of uniqueness. I am the one who changed him. That is a powerful identity, but here is what always happens. Slowly, the beast softens. Slowly, he becomes predictable. Slowly, he becomes safe. And as he becomes safe, he becomes less attractive. Not because safety is bad, but because the tension is gone, the contrast is gone, the polarity is gone. What created desire was the difference, the risk, the unknown, the edge. Once that edge disappears, the emotional fire fades, and then she feels something she does not expect. Boredom, restlessness, confusion. She tells herself she should be happy. She tells herself she got what she wanted. But something inside her is no longer awake. So unconsciously, she begins to look for the next beast. Not because she wants pain, not because she wants chaos, but because she wants aliveness. She wants intensity. She wants to feel something again. So the cycle repeats. She is drawn to danger. She falls in love. She tames it. She loses interest. She moves on. This is not evil. This is not manipulation. This is human psychology. Desire is created by contrast. Attraction is created by polarity. And when polarity disappears, desire fades. This is the beast story. It is not about monsters. It is about tension. It is not about danger. It is about energy. It is not about bad men. It is about strong men losing their edge. When a man becomes too safe, too predictable, too emotionally flat, he becomes invisible. And the woman does not understand why. She just feels that something is missing. Something that used to be there. Something that made her feel alive. And so she searches again for the beast. Not to suffer, but to feel. The balance. Women want danger, but not harm. They do not want to be hurt. They do not want chaos. They do not want instability or fear. What they want is the feeling of danger inside safety. They want to feel that a man has power, but they also want to feel that he is in control of that power. They want to sense strength, not suffer from it. They want to feel that a man could be dangerous, but that he chooses not to be. That choice is what creates trust. That choice is what creates attraction. A man with no edge feels empty. A man with no strength feels invisible. A man who is too soft feels like a friend. He is kind, he is polite, he is safe. But he does not awaken anything. There is no tension. There is no contrast. There is no emotional charge. So nothing moves inside her. She feels calm, but she does not feel alive. On the other side is the man who is too aggressive, too forceful, too controlling, too intense. He creates fear instead of excitement. He creates pressure instead of desire. He does not feel safe. So she leaves. Not because she dislikes strength, but because there is no control. And without control, power becomes a threat. The balance sits in the middle. A man who has strength, but also has discipline. A man who has intensity, but also has calm. A man who has depth, but also has stability. He is not loud, he is not wild, he is not trying to prove anything. His power is quiet, it is contained, it is felt, not shown. This is what makes him different. This is what makes him rare. This is what makes him unforgettable. Because he creates two feelings at the same time. She feels safe with him, and she feels awake with him. She feels protected, and she feels moved. She feels calm, and she feels alive. This combination is what bonds her. Not danger alone, not safety alone, but danger under control. Power with discipline, intensity with restraint. This is not about being aggressive. It is not about being dominant. It is not about being cold. It is about being whole. Strong enough to hold tension, calm enough to hold space, present enough to be felt, and controlled enough to be trusted. The man who can hold both sides becomes the man she remembers. Not because he was exciting, not because he was kind, but because he made her feel something rare, safe in the presence of power. That is the balance, that is the edge, that is what lasts. Words versus feeling. Women do not remember your words. They remember the feeling you created. They forget sentences. They forget explanations. They forget promises. But they never forget how their body and emotions felt in your presence. Because the human mind stores emotion deeper than language. Words pass through the ears. Feelings sink into the nervous system. A polite man is easy to replace. He is respectful. He is correct. He says the right things. He behaves properly. But he does not create a strong emotional imprint. He does not move anything inside her. So over time, he fades from memory. Not because he was bad, but because he was flat. Then there is the man who makes her feel something. Not just safe, not just calm, but seen, chosen, awakened, affected. He changes her internal state. He shifts her mood. He shifts her energy. He leaves a trace. That trace becomes memory. She remembers how she felt when he entered the room. She remembers how she felt when he looked at her. She remembers how she felt when he spoke slowly instead of nervously. She remembers how she felt when he was fully present. This is what stays. Not the content of the conversation, but the emotional tone of the experience. That is why people fall in love with presence, not with speech. That is why attraction grows from feeling, not logic. You cannot argue someone into desire. You cannot explain someone into longing. You cannot convince the nervous system with reasons. You can only affect it with experience. A man who creates emotional contrast becomes memorable. A man who creates emotional depth becomes significant. A man who creates emotional safety becomes trusted. But a man who creates all three becomes unforgettable. This is not manipulation. This is how the human brain works. Emotion is the bookmark of memory. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the imprint. This is why intense moments stay with us for years. Not because they were perfect, but because they were felt. So if you want to be remembered, do not focus on saying impressive things. Do not focus on being clever. Do not focus on being correct. Focus on how you make her feel in your presence. Does she feel seen? Does she feel chosen? Does she feel safe? Does she feel awake? If the answer is yes, then even if she forgets your words, she will never forget you. The final truth. Women are not only what they show, they are not only what they say, they are not only what they pretend to be. Inside every woman is a private world, a world of thoughts she never speaks, a world of feelings she never posts, a world of fantasies she never admits. Not because they are bad, but because they are vulnerable, because they do not fit the image she is expected to show, because they could be misunderstood, because they could be judged. So she hides them. She wraps them in politeness, she wraps them in logic, she wraps them in acceptable words, and shows only what is safe to show. But the private world is still there, quiet, active, alive. It shapes what she is drawn to, it shapes what she avoids, it shapes what makes her feel alive, it shapes what makes her feel empty. The mistake men make is thinking the surface is the truth. They listen only to the mask, they believe only the performance, they take words as reality, but words are often protection, words are often defense, words are often camouflage. The truth lives deeper, in reactions, in patterns, in choices, in what she returns to, in what she cannot forget. A woman wants one rare thing: to be fully seen without being judged, to be fully known without being shamed, to be fully accepted without being used. That is the deepest form of intimacy. Not physical, psychological, emotional, existential. The man who can sense her hidden world and not fear it, not try to control it, not try to fix it, not try to exploit it, becomes her safe place. He becomes the place where the mask can rest, where the performance can stop, where she does not have to be impressive, correct, moral, or strong, where she can be messy, contradictory, emotional, human. This is why women are drawn not to perfection, but to permission. Permission to feel, permission to want, permission to be complex, permission to be real. And the man who offers that permission, without pressure, without demand, without judgment, becomes unforgettable. Not because he controlled her, not because he impressed her, but because he freed her from the need to pretend, freed her from the need to perform, freed her from the need to hide. No mask, no performance, no guilt, just truth. And when a woman can be true, that is when she connects, that is when she bonds, that is when she stays, because the place where she can be real becomes the place she feels at home. If this touched something you already felt but never named, like this video. Share it with a man who still believes words over behavior. Subscribe, because this is only the surface. Only those brave enough to face uncomfortable truths go deeper. Choose to be one of them.